Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be, and welcome back to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I'm here with Alison, and this is Maintaining Frame number 167. Warning,
Mm-hmm.
why 80% of men are invisible in modern dating.
Yeah.
We're going to be, we're going to be looking at a clip from a longer podcast from a channel called The Diary of a CEO. We covered a different show, I think last week with Karen. It looks like he's been trying to tackle this topic,
Grapple with it.
grapple with it, wrestle
with
with
the
it.
usual tools, the usual techniques, basically
Yeah,
blaming men and then also blaming men. That's what I
yeah.
assume. I haven't
So
watched this, so
you haven't
I
watched
could
it
be
yet, okay?
yeah.
No, it's
So
all
I
right.
could be completely out to lunch on them blaming men. You know, I could be just a shot in the dark and I missed, but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing that today, and hopefully you guys will join us for this. I am ultimately encouraged because I think that it's obviously getting to the point now where this can't be brushed under the rug. This can't be ignored.
Mm-mm.
And I think that people are starting to really worry, and I think they should.
Mm-hmm.
So, will they actually be able to navigate this? I don't know, because it's going to require something that a lot of people are not prepared to do. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll have to see if they're going to find the courage
You
to
just
do
can't get
that.
away from it. You
No, I
can't
know
get
you
away
can.
from it.
Yep,
you got to
you
do the thing
can't.
that nobody wants to do.
Yep. So yeah, that's inevitably going to happen. But um, before we get into that, I guess you should do the things.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yes. Um, if you would like to send us a message at any point throughout the show, feedthebadger.com/justthetip is the best way to do it. We get the full benefit of whatever funds you send, and you get the benefit of not sending your comment through YouTube's comment enhancement system. And I don't know if X even has a way of sending comments. So that's feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Please avail yourself of that. And we are doing our monthly fundraiser. We are currently 1,500 and I think 85 from the goal with 1 day left. So it's getting a little hairy. I may do some arm twisting during this stream to see if we can get to that goal. I do want to do a big thank you to OKFS who put in 250 today. So thank you to OKFS. And yeah, hopefully we'll be able to make it, because I am sort of trying to also make sure we can do our meetup. That was a smooth segue. This September 13th in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And if you're interested in that, go to feedthebadger.com/events for more info. And I think that's good for now. I think all of the links are in the low bar if you are interested in any of those. And let us begin. I think, yeah.
All right, yeah,
Beginning.
let's do it. So let's play this. So just to kind of help set things up, you have the host of Diary of a CEO, and he is speaking with two guests. One
Mm-hmm.
is a woman named Logan Uri, or Uri, it's Uri, or Ury rather, who is a
Mm-hmm.
behavioral scientist, dating coach, and the director of relationship science at Hinge, where she leads a research team focused on helping people find love. So she works for Hinge, which is one of these dating apps.
Mm-hmm.
She authored the best-selling book, How to Not Die Alone, a data-driven guide to modern dating. Then you have Scott Galloway, who is the other guest. Scott Galloway is an American public speaker, academic author, podcast host, and serial entrepreneur. He's a clinical professor of marketing at NYU's Stern School of Business, where he teaches brand strategy and digital marketing to second-year MBA students. So these are the two people that are on the show with the host. I forget his name, but you know the guy at Diary of a CEO. I don't remember his name. And they're going to be talking about what's going on with modern dating. So let's go ahead and let's play a little bit of the intro.
Yes,
And I do have some time codes. What?
I don't know. I just said let's do it. Like just
Okay, let's do it.
generic
What we have
confirmation.
right now is there's fewer and fewer men that are hypergamous mates for women. So if there's a much smaller pool of guys, then what you have is you have a bunch of women competing for the same men. and then a bunch of guys get ignored. But what I also see is that those top guys are having a hard time deciding. So I feel like in my coaching practice as a dating coach, I'm working with a lot of women who say, what do I do? I've changed my profile the way you said I should. I took your class, but I still feel like there's just not enough great guys. And then I work with these CEO men who are having such a hard time choosing. And so I think we really have this exacerbated problem where so many women are competing for the same men, and then a bunch of guys are getting ignored. And
Can I?
Yeah, I just wanted to let her get that out.
This woman is not going to do anything. Like literally, what the only way you can stop competing with other women for the CEOs is to stop competing with the other women for the CEOs. That's the only way that's going to end for most women. And so does she at any point say, hey, ladies, not if you all want a CEO, you're going to have to share them? No? Yes? Please. Have I just gone kaput because of Void Cat?
No. No,
Okay,
that's I mean, we're basically looking at a situation where there are men who have harems.
Yes.
And they don't want harems. They want one woman.
Yeah. Okay,
Or
so
at least
fair
some of
enough.
them. Yeah.
The CEOs want one woman, and all of these women want this dude, and they're just not going to get him because the very act of all of them going for the CEO is meaning that none of them get one. Wow, this is like, I don't want to put any words in her mouth because I've only listened to like 44 seconds of her. But if this doesn't go to women need to rethink their standards, then like I said, I don't think she's going to do anything beneficial. Excuse me.
It's all right. All right, let's play some more.
Oh, Void Cat is attacking my throat. She's
What?
attacking my throat with her hair. Sorry. She's discovered a new vector of attack.
Mia?
Okay. Yeah, Mia, Void Cat. She's discovered a new way to destroy the stream. She's going to attack my vocal cords directly with her freaking super allergetic hairs. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to point out is it's good that some woman here is finally admitting what's actually going on.
Yeah, this is what I mean when I say that I am encouraged, because this is something you wouldn't even have wanted to see, much less actually see, even less point out in a conversation on the internet with a very large channel. So, also we'll look at the comments later if there's time, because they're pretty great too. Like the comments under this video are very critical of the fact that these people, they're calling them 10 years late to this conversation.
Oh,
which
yeah,
true.
no crap. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, 10 years late. That's being generous. 15 is probably the minimum. Okay.
Yep. All right, let's keep going.
Where do those guys go? And they go online. That's what you see.
They go to porn.
They go to porn, or they go to Reddit. I mean, I love Reddit, but they're really going to some of these red-pilled communities. And so what you're seeing now is just men really opting out of society. So when you go back to that stat, 1 in 7 young men in the UK is NEET, not an employment, education, or training. They have just opted out. And as Scott says, there's nothing scarier than a single man, a young single man. And so we are just creating a lot of these angry young single men who are saying, well, this is rigged against me. And so that's why I am worried about the rise of people like Andrew Tate. And if we wonder, where are the dads, where are the men? Well, men are finding these father figures, but they're finding them online, and they're not the father figures that I would choose for the majority of men.
Yeah, but they are the father figures that women chose for the majority of men. They chose them by getting rid of the actual fathers.
Yep.
Yeah, this is like, it's great that we're actually admitting the situation for what it is. But if we can't acknowledge why it is the way it is, we're never going to get out of it. We're just going to be on a loop of saying, oh, hi, Brazil is sinking. But, well, we can't actually talk about why, because that's verboten. We can't criticize the real people in the world. We can't criticize the ones who did this. Where are the fathers? How come? Okay, let me put it this way. How come when men supposedly had the ability to divorce, almost every kid had a father in his life? And then we gave women, supposedly, because I don't think it actually worked out this way, we gave women the ability to divorce. And essentially, we created a situation where divorce became man at fault divorce. So women not only got the ability to divorce, but they were incentivized to do so. And we tried to continuously reduce the cost of doing so. When we did that for women, suddenly 50% of kids don't know their dads. Why is that? And but of course, whose fault is it? Patriarchy? Patriarchy?
Men aren't stepping up.
Men aren't stepping up.
Something Adam chose the fruit willingly. Something heal the will of Adam.
Yeah. Also, somehow the one person with the least control, the least ability to influence whether or not he has a relationship with his kid, the father, is the one most responsible. Even the kid has more control over whether or not they have a relationship with their father than their father does. And that's not even talking about the mom. If we have a fatherlessness epidemic, it's because moms have been kicking fathers out of their kids' lives. Period. Full stop. And until that stops, Andrew Tate.
Notice what is the motivation to try and address this? What is their motivation? What is this woman saying? When like, why is she suddenly concerned about this issue? Did you notice?
Because not every woman can get a CEO. But
no. Well, that's not what I was thinking.
But
the motive for her to bring this up is not, I want to maximize people's chances of healthy relationships, in particular men. That's not her motivation. It sounds like her motivation is, if we don't do something, the scary single men are going to do something to us. You see what I mean?
You know what they'll do? They'll stop delivering power to your house. Like, men don't have to do anything aggressive to absolutely hoop you, lady.
Yeah, but she's afraid they will.
Yeah,
I think they're all afraid they will. Even though the worst thing that'll probably happen is, they'll just stop giving you their labor.
Yeah. They'll withdraw their labor from society, which they've already started to do. Young men have withdrawn their labor from society, and that's all they need to do is withdraw their labor from society. That's it. And we're hooped. No, I mean, probably more likely is that the young men who you've imported from another culture will all start to rally behind some kind of Genghis Khan. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but that's much more likely, and then take over this culture, as has happened many times in the past. So yeah, like but the men in your culture are probably just going to silently withdraw, and many of them aren't going to do it consciously or unintentionally. They're just going to do it because it's overwhelming, the messages that they're getting. And then the other thing is that she's talking about these women all going after a CEO. When in history did women all get CEOs? At one point in history, was there such a glut of CEOs that every woman could get one? The answer is nowhere in history. Therefore, every woman wanting a man who is a CEO or the equivalent is dysfunctional. And unless we're willing to shame women for trying to punch well above their weight, the situation doesn't change. Or guilt them, whatever needs to be done. And unfortunately, if we don't have family formation, we don't have an incentive structure, because the thing is that I get into these arguments with communists on Twitter. I know this must be shocking to you all. And of course, the quickest way to turn a communist into their stereotype of an arch capitalist conservative is to talk about men's issues. The instant we start talking about giving men anything, communists lose their communism. It's amazing. It's like exorcism. You know, you just say men's issues and a communist is like, no, the bootstraps. Everybody needs to work. That men need to work. They need to man up. They need to bootstrap themselves up. They don't get anything. Instantaneously. I mean, if our society had actually embraced men's issues from the beginning, there would be no communism, because it's like it just leaves their bodies, just goes, whew, it's gone. But unfortunately, that's not the way it worked. But anyway, I get into arguments with communists, and they tell me that, man, Void Cat, she's eating my thoughts. She's discovered a new power. So I get into arguments with communists. Sorry about that, guys. And they tell me that men aren't owed a family and they aren't owed a wife by participation in society. But here's the issue. If men don't have those incentives to doing the jobs that need to be done, which are 97% men, so that's the roofing, that's the sewer work, that's the power, linemen, that's garbage men, that's logging, like everything that is required for our society to run, 97% men. If men don't have an incentive structure when it comes to improving their situation socially in terms of gaining a wife and children, those jobs are going to have to pay them more to compensate. So if you could have a wife and kid on like a 15 bucks an hour wage job, then you would take it. And these men will do that. But if they can't have a wife and kids, they're going to want $350 an hour. Right? They're going to want that additional compensation, which means the only people who will be able to afford to turn the lights on will be the super wealthy. So, I mean, that's something to consider. Like and they say, well, men aren't owed this stuff. Fine, they're not owed this stuff. But if men start demanding unbelievable wages to do the very necessary jobs for everybody to survive, it's going to get a little hairy. It's going to get a little uncomfortable for everyone. All right. I'm done my rant. Void Cat is quiescent for the moment.
So I have some videos pulled up just to like give a little bit of contrast, because I feel like they're talking about men, but they're not really getting the female perspective here. So we were just talking about what women are going for. So here's a woman giving her opinion on standards. Just gonna just throwing it out there so you guys can see it.
There's no such thing as a woman having high standards. It's men who have high entitlements and low effort. We're not fucking buying it anymore. Thank you. There's no such thing as a woman.
So, you know, that's basically it, guys. There's no such thing as a woman with high standards. And they're going to wrestle with this. They're going to have to wrestle with this. You can, like, you're not even allowed to call it delusional, even though it obviously is. So now that's where we are. Women expect this. Men are just going to have to keep on stepping up or step out. And if they step out, then these people are going to pontificate about how that's a problem that needs to be addressed instead of actually addressing the fucking problem. So let's get to the next time code. Okay.
From even getting into the club. So many women in the US set their height filters at 6 feet, but only 14% of men in the US are 6 feet or taller. So what happens to the other 86% of men? And women are saying, where's my guy? It's like, well, he's not even showing up on your app. And so a huge thing that I push women to do is to change their height filters and just say, there is nothing that proves that you're going to have a successful long-term relationship if the guy is higher. I'm married to a short king. I love it. I feel like I really found this gem. And I think that so many women are missing out on great potential partners because of things like height.
Oh, good.
It's too bad, though, because
There's no such thing as a woman having high standards. It's men who have high entitlements and low effort. We're not fucking buying it anymore. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm just going to keep playing obnoxious women online videos to respond. I don't even have to make arguments myself. I'll let the women speak for themselves.
All right.
All right. Let me see. What's the next time code I got here? Sorry.
It's fine. I'm like coughing like crazy here, so don't worry about it. I'm hoping I'm muting in time. Okay, good.
Scott's point as well about they will date one of the men in the top 10%.
Yeah.
sleep with him potentially, and then that kind of adjusts their standards and they expect all other men to meet that standard, but there isn't enough men to meet that standard, is there?
I haven't specifically heard that. I mean, there is a lot of evidence around assortive mating that people sort of have an internal sense of how attractive they are and that they end up with someone similar to that. But assortive mating is different than hypergamy, which is really this idea, as Scott said, that women tend to date horizontally and up and men date horizontally and down. So if you have
Well, I got something for you for that. Listen.
Reminder for you, ladies and gentlemen, you are hot, so act like it. If you act like you're sad and like, I'm ugly, no one's gonna fucking like you. Be confident, bitch, you're hot. Own it. Be hot.
So there you
but
go.
didn't he-
They're hot because they
didn't-
said so.
Didn't she say that to ladies and gentlemen? So presumably
She did
to
say
all
ladies
people.
and gentlemen, but somehow I don't think she means the men.
Yeah,
And,
that's
and
something
men,
I've
and you know
noticed.
what? I also think, Alison, that men intuitively know that they can't just will themselves to be attractive. That's a woman
Yes.
thing. That's not a man thing. Okay.
Yeah, I actually, just to unpack that a bit, I have had these discussions where I have called women out for their behavior, and I have done the dread thing of blaming women, which is verboten. But as I continuously say, we should be as comfortable blaming women as we are blaming men. Otherwise, we're getting nowhere. So I blame women for something and I point out their behavior. And I've had people come in and just do the milquetoast thing of all people. And I'm like, every time they say that, what they're doing is neutralizing, targeting women for blame when women are actually doing something that they should be blamed for. So then they say, all people, like I'll say something like, women need to have reasonable standards. And they'll say, all people need to have reasonable standards. I'm like, no, stop here. Women need to have reasonable standards. Not all people, because men have reasonable standards. Women do not. If it was left up to men, okay, let's just do a thought experiment. Men get to select their partner, right? All the women of the earth are in a line and men just choose one. How many relationships do you think there would be at the end of the day if men were doing the selecting? I would guess probably in the 90s. But if women are doing the selecting, how many relationships are at the end of the day? 10? In the 10s? 20s maybe? Yeah. Okay, that's the problem. The problem is that women are the ones that are gatekeeping the potential relationships, and they're gatekeeping them too hard. If you handed that over to men, we'd all be paired up and probably progressing towards Mars by now, or not beyond Mars. We'd be progressing towards Alpha Centauri. Okay.
All right. Let me check my time codes again. And you know what? We can play some more of this because it kind of goes into something else that I think is good.
2/3 of women who are college grads and 1/3 of college grads who are men, and some of them are going to date women without college degrees. You truly do have this dating crisis where there's just not enough men to meet this hypergamous mating.
Guys with college degrees, they could have PhDs. They'll date the fucking waitress at Waffle House if she's nice to him. They're not concerned with what women have in terms of their material worth. They should probably be a little bit more concerned, but they're not. So
yeah. Before in societies past, women had to bring something to marriage. Now all they bring is debt.
yeah, that's right. All right. Anyway, so it's just kind of silly because they're still. The thing is what I'm getting is that this woman, sorry, I forgot her name, but I have it here. Logan, she is still kind of like analyzing this in an egalitarian, like, men have this and women have this, and let's like measure these against each other in this egalitarian way. But that's not how people are concerned with mating. I mean, women are not looking for someone that's doing about as well as them. They're looking for someone that's doing way better than them. And men don't even care what women are doing. Like they probably should a little bit, but they don't. They just want her to be nice to them.
Yeah.
So like look at what happened with this whole Sydney Sweeney thing. Do you know about this, Alison?
No, tell me.
So Sydney Sweeney is an actress, blonde, blue-eyed, you know, pretty. I mean, not like a not
Mhm.
complete knockout, but like attractive enough to be an actress, you know, nice boobs and all that. And she did some ads for American Eagle jeans. And women were losing their shit over it. And it was really because Sydney Sweeney, this is the thing that she does, okay? She is a person that does not openly attack men and does not engage in intersexual competition, like, you know, like she doesn't, but she also doesn't like support the sisterhood blindly, right? So men like her for that. It's not even the bare minimum. It's just like she's just not going after men. She's a celebrity that's high status, that's not talking about the patriarchy all the time. She's not going after men, and she's pretty. And so women are losing their shit over it all over the place. And on top of that, so someone did a poll on X, and they took a picture of Sydney Sweeney, who is basically like the it girl right now with men. The women think she's a Nazi because she's blonde and blue-eyed and did a commercial about jeans. And they compared Sydney Sweeney to like this random like Japanese salary woman that was wearing like a suit, and she had a cute expression. I could find the image if you want to see it. And the men in most polls, men overwhelmingly voted in favor of the Japanese salary woman. Like no name, no status, not famous, like cute, but that's it. Not a bombshell, not even showing any skin. Even the Sydney Sweeney images weren't showing that much skin. And like people couldn't understand it because they had this preconceived notion about what men like. That's like this cartoonish thing, you know, where they want, like all men want Jessica Rabbit or something in a bikini. And it turns out that, you know, this plain looking salary woman was like really popular with men because the first thing they thought was, oh, she looks like she's a nice girl that knows how to cook. You know, like just a person that would bring me a sense of peace and quiet to my home. That may not be true because she's still a woman, but I'm saying that based on the surface level stuff, you know, this is what I mean. Like men are
Yeah,
not
yeah.
in any way hypergamous like that, you know?
No, no. They just want a woman. that's
Yeah.
that's it.
Sweet woman.
Yeah, somebody who makes them feel useful and happy occasionally. You know,
Yeah.
bakes cookies. Although I mean, I don't do that. But I like if I can get a partner, any woman can get a partner. Let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And what's actually happening is that women are shooting too high, and I know that for a fact because I have been married for like 27 years and 25 years actually, and or something like that, and I am no prize by any stretch of the imagination. So yeah, all of you have no excuse. Okay.
All right. Anyway.
Again, you can't tell women to lower their expectations, but this is the reality. When you ask a man if you could have a woman who had 80% of everything you wanted, 75% say, yeah, I'm on board.
Mm-hmm.
When you say to a woman, a man has 80% of what you want, 75% say that's not enough.
There it is. I don't know if this is like a real stat. I think it might be, but that's very telling. Like men are way more willing to settle. Now, of course, the kind of men that women pursue probably don't because the other men don't exist to them. They're like not people, as Homath would say. But the men who are not people, they would probably be fine with, you know, like he said, just in case you guys didn't hear it, he said that men were asked if a woman had 80% of everything they wanted, which means 20% of what they don't, would they be okay with that? And he said 75% of men said, yeah, that's fine. Like, you know, like they know that they're just sort of like shooting for the moon. And then and when they reverse that and you ask women, if here's a man, he has 80% of all the things you're looking for, 75% of women will say, no, that's not going to work.
Mm-hmm. And consider also that we're starting with vastly different amounts of criteria between men and women. Like, what would men's criteria be? Nice, non-abusive, you know, not completely broke, like isn't in 100,000 in debt, not huge, but okay looking. And then 80% of that is what? Like, what do you drop in there? Nice? Are you dropping nice? Are you dropping broke? Are you dropping okay looking? Right? What part are you dropping? Because they're already at bare minimum. And I can tell you what they're dropping. Because I've seen it. I've seen absolutely fit men dating women who they're not slobs. They're not like gigantic, but they are not fit. They are, you could probably say they are plump in some cases, or reasonably sized, but they aren't super fit. Like the guy looks like his second job is the gym, and she looks like her second job is Krispy Kremes. Like that I can see that men are already dropping that 20%. And probably what's happening is that woman is nice to him. She's nice. She's pretty, if not perfectly fit. And she's not $100,000 in debt because she's an avocado toast job woman who has a degree in gender weaving. Like,
Yeah.
So that that's what I'm seeing. So when men drop 20% of their standards, they're dropping a lot. Whereas when women drop 20% of their standards, what are they doing? They're dropping from I don't know, 2 million a year to the man must make 1.8 million a year, or no, 1.6 million a year. They're dropping it from 6'5" to 6'3", 6'1". Oh, short manlet size, right? They're dropping from a 12-pack to a 6-pack. Like, what are they dropping when they drop 20% of their standards? So this is even worse than he's making it out to be.
Sure. No, I get it. Yeah. I got a
And
super
the real
chat.
the real problem is this. Women's standards are, does he make my girlfriends jealous? Does he make my girlfriends want to steal him from me? Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's their standard. But the problem is that only a fraction of men in any given population can live up to that standard. Because if you think about it, if all of her girlfriends are with men who are about as attractive as they are, none of them are going to make, and she gets a man who's about as attractive as she is, and is about as attractive as her girlfriends are, and is about as attractive as their partners are. They're not going to want to steal him. They're not going to be jealous because everybody's got the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
No, she has to get a 10% man, a 20% man, a 10% man, a 5% man, depending on where she is, in order to make her girlfriends jealous. And to feel that sense that he could leave, which, makes her excited by his presence. And that's it. It doesn't even matter what 10%. If everybody in the population, every man is obese, then 10% is the guys who are mildly obese rather than morbidly obese. But it's always that 10%. And if every guy is super fit, like a Chris Helmsworth, then it's the super fit Chris Helmsworth 10% that the women are going to go for. So this is a problem with how women are selecting their partners. And there's nowhere that we can go to solve it that doesn't involve getting them to knock it the F off. Like getting women to take responsibility and knock it the F off. Okay.
All right, let's play some more of this.
Sure.
But even look at the media.
Right.
What does the media tell a woman to do? He's out, but he didn't open your door. He's not nice to his parent. You'd walk right out on that man. Like, it's literally every piece of media is, you don't need him. You're a strong, independent woman. Pull the ripcord. You're out. And it is the basic kind of communication around this is, you are a strong, independent, powerful woman. That is wonderful. And quite frankly, you don't need the imperfect man. And they're just not connecting. I read that on Tinder, a man of average attractiveness has to swipe right 200 times to get one coffee. And then 4 of those 5 coffees will ghost him. They will decide they don't want to meet him, or they won't show up. That means a guy of average attractiveness has to swipe right 1,000 times to get one coffee. Now, what does that tell that guy? Women don't value me. Women make me feel rejected. And then they go online and they see these misogynists telling them it's not your fault.
Mhm.
And
What?
these men become much more
I know that was a plot twist, right? Like suddenly, and it's weird. It's like he lays out men's struggle and their frustration, and immediately says, and then for some reason, these misogynists come out of the woodwork and tell them it's not your fault. Well, is it his fault?
What did you just say, sir? What did you just lay out to the audience, sir? What did you just elaborate upon, sir? At what point in that long explanation did it become men's fault? Like, let me tell you, if the average woman did not find the average man attractive for a substantial length of time throughout human history, we wouldn't be here. Yes, there are the genetic pinch points, but for the most part, we pair bond. For most societies that have polygamy or polygamy with just women, I'm not going to say it because I know I'm going to mispronounce the word, that multiple women with a man, most societies still pair bond. They still have monogamy. That's their majority. And in fact, I think the polygyny is sorry?
Polygyny, I think. Yeah.
Polygyny. I think the polygyny is actually functioning as a sort of like a way of maintaining the monogamy. So these societies are forced to embrace it in order to maintain their monogamy. And I have an elaborate explanation for why. But the ultimate point is that even those societies that embrace polygyny are mostly monogamous. And if you look at those pinch points throughout history, you know, the usual statistic is 17 men reproduce for every one woman. Yes, there were points in history, 2 points in history where something like that was true, but they don't know why. It could have been a social thing. It could have been a whole bunch of men died from a disease or a war, right? Because immediately before and immediately after these pinch points, everybody went back to mostly pair bonding with maybe a little bit of polygyny, right? So this is, if at any point the average woman didn't find the average man attractive, we wouldn't be here. Yeah, most of us are the result of average women finding the average man attractive. And honestly, the most successful societies are one in which the most men and the most women pair up. That's according to Unwin and his survey, the Sex and Society, I believe, Sexuality and Society, I believe is the book. And he did a survey of many, many societies in the world. And he found that monogamy and chastity were the two biggest predictors for technological progress and social cohesion and peace. You can't get away from it. Okay.
Nope. All right.
prone to misogynistic content, much more prone to nationalistic content, blaming other people.
Isn't it weird? He's nationalistic content.
Yeah, where does that come from?
Why is that a problem? Like more prone to nationalistic content? Like, why are you problematizing nationalism? What does that even have to do with men failing to like find a date? I like feel like this guy's worrying about things tangential to the actual issue, and it just I find him sus is all I'm saying. But anyway,
People for the lack of economic opportunity, they start sequestering from society. I worry that we are literally evolving a new species of asexual, asocial male. And if a man by the age of 30 hasn't either lived with someone or married someone, there's a 1 in 3 chance he's going to have a substance abuse problem.
Wow.
so here's there's a random stat that popped up on the screen. Oh, I did get a super chat I should read. Let me read that first. $5 from Zeranx. He says, are we dubbing sweet woman as a technical term, Brian? Can we do that? I mean, I don't know, I guess. But thank you for that. I'll have to find like some more examples of one so that we can make it into a thing. So DOAC information says marriage is associated with a decrease in alcohol, tobacco, and cannabis use. Studies indicate that married individuals generally use these substances less than those who are single, divorced, or separated. That doesn't necessarily mean addiction, though, but I could see that if you have more free time because you're not married, you're not raising children, you'll probably find more, like, you'll spend more time with diversions. But I don't necessarily have a problem with it as long as it's not, excessive and destructive. So, but
All
yeah.
right, can I do a shout out, like some arm twisting? All right, so once again, we are doing our monthly fundraiser. Please assist. Hasn't moved. I know it's because you guys just want to listen to us and you don't want to take a moment, tear yourself away from our dulcet tones to actually go and help out. But please do feedthebadger.com/support. Somebody get just $5 in there so it's moving somewhere. It'll be a big weight off my mind. Where did my come from? Feedthebadger.com/support. And I will let's do some more.
All right, let's
see
do
if
some
that
more.
helps.
In addition, it goes so much deeper than that, because if they don't develop the skills, the reason romantic comedies are 2 hours, not 15 minutes, is this shit is hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, finding an attractive, intelligent woman, generally speaking, 75% of people who've been married longer than 30 years say in the beginning, one was much more interested than the other. And it was almost always the man. Women are much choosier. The basis of evolution is seed trying to get everywhere, men, and women deploying a much finer filter to select the strongest, smartest, and
Oh
fastest.
God, this is
So
bullshit.
men need
Yeah. Well, men need
an environment to demonstrate excellence. And you hear these women talk about it. He was kind. He was good at work. I liked the way he smelled. He was funny. Where do men demonstrate excellence? When they're not going to college, they're not going into an office because of remote work. Where do they're not going to church, they're not going to temple. Where does a woman have the opportunity to fall in love other than these baseline metrics? And you were talking about, women say, you've seen these TikToks, over $100,000, that's not unreasonable. And over 6 feet, that's 2.2% of the male population.
Of unreasonable. 2.2% of the male population is unreasonable. Like, ladies, you realize that you should be about a supermodel level if you want over 6 feet and over 100,000 a year. Right? Think about a 2% woman, like 2%, the top 2% attractiveness in women, right? Like, you should at least be able to be an extra in a Hollywood movie, ladies. You should be the girl that gets killed first in the slasher film, at least, in order to get that. Otherwise, it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous expectation. Okay.
Yeah. I'll let this woman respond.
Give an ugly guy a chance one time, and then he gets cocky and thinks that he can do better than you. Oh, then starts treating you like shit. I'm sorry, I let you up into this league. Do you know how ugly you are?
What league do you think you're in, my dear?
He's in the league that deserves 1.4% of the population. This is like where they're at. This is why I shared that. Because when she says, give an ugly guy a chance, she doesn't mean he looks like Quasimodo, because she probably wouldn't have given him a chance. She means he was average and probably wasn't like super high status and didn't make that much money. And even though she's average, she was like, no, he's not on my level. I just know that. So, like, when these people are talking around like, oh, well, I mean, like, do like women, they're picking from really small, but they're not saying we can't change that, because he even said we're not going to be able to change that. He didn't even want to like address that. He didn't want to tackle that. He just said, well, that's not happening. Well, so we're dead then. We're fucked. We're cooked. It's over. Women will destroy everybody with their fucking pickiness. And that's just it. So enjoy your electricity and running water while we still have it, because it's done. So
it's not the West. This is going everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, only cultures that are actively opposed to it are going to survive. Or we fix it. Somehow. Well, I mean, I got my ideas of how to fix it. It doesn't involve, well, I mean, maybe you could create a place for men to show excellence, but that means that women can't be part of it. Women have to observe but not be part. Otherwise, it becomes women showing excellence. And also because women can't compete with the men, that's unfair and it's patriarchy. So we need to even the playing field. And then suddenly men have to have all these handicaps and they're no longer showing excellence. You know, that's the problem.
Yep.
You can have equality or you can have hypergamy, ladies. You can have equality or you can have hypergamy.
All right. Let me see the next. Is this the next time code right here? No, we're gonna jump ahead a bit because I think we got the point of that. So it's like,
sons. So constantly we have this feeling where we're asking men to do something when they don't have the skills. I was talking to my friend David and he said women are in graduate school when it comes to emotional conversations and guys are in third grade. The other part of the paradox is that women are asking men to be more emotionally open, but then they get shamed when they do that. So we have this great quote from Brene Brown where she says, we beg guys to open up, we beg them to let us in, and then when they do, we can't stomach it.
so here's the emotional intelligence thing. You know, the whole like combat toxic masculinity, open up with their feelings. They are actually telling the truth about it, which is what we've been saying for years and years and years, which is, well, that's all fine and dandy. But when men open up, they open up to women, what happens? Women become disgusted with them or they become afraid of them or whatever it is. They want to control. They want men to open up, but they want to do it on their terms. They want to do what they say when they do it and in the way that they do it. They don't really want to hear men speak earnestly about their emotional state or their feelings or their concerns, you know, or their insecurities. Because if a man exposes any insecurities, the woman feels like, oh shit, this guy's weak. I gotta go. So
yes,
I heard
yeah.
that over and over.
Chorizo hate watches or something. He's even donated it to us. It's very strange. But it's happened before. We've had people who apparently despise us, but also wanted to support us.
yeah.
We got hate supporters. Go figure.
Pepito gives us $50 super chow. Thank you. And says, some honey for the badgers. I disagree with this point, though. There is no evidence that average women liked average men. DNA shows only 40% of men pass their genes. Can't just be due to genetic pinchers.
No, it is
and
genetic
it's
pinpoint.
just the fact, even if women preferences wasn't the cause, it must have evolved with it.
But regardless, even if it isn't a natural thing, if women, the truth is that those societies that somehow get women to the point of pairing up with average men are the most successful societies, period. Right? If we want to be a scrubby has-been species that just sort of screws around in their original biosphere without actually leaving the atmosphere, fine, we can indulge this. If we want to become something more, we can't, because it's just not it doesn't have the same level of functionality. Those societies in which women are paired up, the most amount of women are paired up with the most amount of men, are the most successful. Full stop. They're so successful. This particular society is so successful that it could try this bizarre experiment of pretending that that's not the case and freeing women to do whatever they wanted. And I don't even mean equality, because we don't have equality. This isn't equality. This is just freeing women to have a buffet of choices and have men underwrite the consequences of them. Except
Women's
to the
liberation and
point.
its consequences.
All right.
Sorry. I'll say this though. I think that in historically, I think women. Well, first of all, I think for the most part in history, neither men nor women got to choose necessarily their wife. For most of history, they were just married off to the family like next door, because it was more like a business merger, and they knew each other since childhood anyway. So there wasn't like this idea of like, how can I get the best person? It was just like, this person is next door, like I know them. The other thing is that even after that, when we got into dating, like in the 20th century, I think that even then, there was less opportunity for hypergamy because they were choosing like from within their immediate area and their community. So it was the people who they went to school with, the people who they went to work with. But now that like dating has opened up essentially globally, all of a sudden there's like crazy amounts of options. And women, I think, generally have analysis paralysis. So they're like, well, how do I get the best man? And that's why they're always thinking about like the man they're with. It's like, well, I think I might be able to do better because there's so many options. So I think that could be a factor.
Yes, there's so many options and it's artificial because there aren't really. Right. And
no, it is
the only way to change that sense that women have of artificial abundance is to get men to show them less attention, essentially. Like for men to be extremely discerning. And that, like, think about it. You say that this individual said that the average man has to swipe, I think, right? Was it right? 1,000 times to get one coffee date. Why is that? Because the average woman is getting swiped right on 1,000 times. Now, if an average woman got swiped right on once a year, how much effort would she be putting into that coffee date? And the thing is that men swiping right, okay, that is low effort, but it gives the perception to a woman that she has a relationship on offer with all of those men. So when she finds one that's, I guess, good enough, she doesn't put any effort in because she thinks she has a relationship opportunity with all of them. And that's part of the problem. Like, so there is no actual incentive to rise to the occasion of this date for this woman to even not ghost him. Whereas if you were in real life, if everything was based on men, approaching women in real life, even if you're an attractive woman, you're not going to get 1,000 approaches every week. You're going to get maybe 5. And you're going to get less and less as you go down to the point where if you're an average woman, you're probably going to get approached once every 4 or 5 months. And if you get approached in the real life, like that's the way it was before, as an average woman, and you get one every 4 or 5, how valuable are you going to find that approach? Considerably. How likely are you going to go ape shit because, I can't believe it, he's sexually harassed? Not likely. Because you're not getting anything. You're not getting things constantly. And honestly, women should realize, and they're not encouraged to do this because we have this pervasive myth that men will have sex with anything, which I don't think is true, right? That every single one of those swipe rights is a potential relationship when all it is some guy saying, okay, 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 well,
No, I think they're just like casting a wide net.
Yeah, they're casting a wide net.
Yeah.
And not every one of those guys is going to put that much effort into you. Right. And, but literally what women are thinking is like when they get the likes and the swipe rights and they're thinking, oh, every single one of them, could potentially, no. And certainly not if you don't actually invest in them. And that's the thing that we get this idea that men aren't also discerning, but I think they are. Like the fact that you're ghosting these men for a potential coffee date so that you can now get through the process of being vetted is going to diminish your ability to ever find someone. And this is all dysfunctional. And we could say, well, no, and to a degree, it's not entirely on women's shoulders. But unfortunately, the solution is entirely on women's shoulders because unless they enact the discipline to understand the situation as it actually is, they'll keep getting bamboozled by the situation as the apps are presenting to them in order to bamboozle them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and men can't do anything. They can't. Their hands are tied in this issue, and honestly, the only way this is really going to be solved is if men get off the dating apps completely. Just leave them. And also, if you are on them, Limit yourself to how many you swipe. Because you got to think about this. The more you swipe collectively, the more the sense of abundance makes women not care or dismiss any interest that they do get. Okay. And it's just going to doom you collectively. And so yeah, men should get off the dating apps. Just get off the dating apps. I remember I got it. Like I've been saying for 10 years, don't go into don't do higher education if you're a man, unless you're going into business. You live off campus, you talk to no women during your degree. Do not talk to any women on campus. Do not interact with them. Live off campus. And just do your degree. Do it in STEM or business and nothing else. Then that's fine. But for the most part, just stay out of college. In fact, you should be paid to go to college. Your company should pay you to go to work. And now we're finding out that college degrees don't get men jobs. Like there's just as much unemployment between men who don't have degrees as men who do. Although maybe, the men who do have degrees might earn more, although that's questionable now too. But I was saying that 10 years ago, and I remember I got heat. I think other people on Honey Badger Radio who also said it got heat. And now it's panning out. Yeah, it's panning out. It's panning out. It was worthless and it's just a bunch of debt. And even if you earn more,
it's just debt. That's all you're getting.
It's just debt. Even if you do earn more, you still got all that debt. Right? And again, if you are going to go to college, you look at it in completely mercenary terms, completely professional terms. Do not look at it like you're going to get a partner or you're going to have a girlfriend or a wife. Look at it purely in terms of bottom line. You know that it's going to increase your income by going by this amount. Otherwise, do not do it. And I've been saying this for years. And like I said, the statistics has borne it out. And now I'm telling you, get off the apps. Get off the dating apps. And if you aren't on them, set yourself a quota for how many swipes you do. If she has crazy eyes, do not swipe, right? She got weird background. Like me and Brian went through all of the T app users. And for the most part, we were looking at the background and all of the contextual details. Look very carefully at our contextual details. If anything seems off, do not swipe, right? If the color of her cat is wrong, do not swipe. If she has too many pillows in her bed, do not swipe. If she's wearing too much makeup, do not swipe. Get yourself a list. Yeah, if you're going to be on the apps, get yourself a list of all the contextual makeup, hair, clothing, every ick. Make it huge. An ick list for men. Share them with your friends. Make a gigantic ick list. And if a woman twigs any of them, do not swipe right. That's
what
you need
for men would like freak the internet out. Women will be writing articles about it. They would be so mad.
We predicted.
You need it. You need it for your own protection.
We predicted the absolute state of getting a degree 10 years ago, and that was when we really people were really upset with us for doing that. Now I'm saying the absolute state of dating apps, get off them. And get a gigantic ick that prevents you. This is the key. It prevents you from swiping right, except maybe 2 or 3 times a month, and stick to it. This is the only way forward. All right.
I got a bunch of super chows, so I'm going to read them. Albatross gave us 5. Thank you. It did not say anything, so I'll just say thanks. And if you wanted to say something. Oh, he said, I had a message from my chow. $5 for Badger coffee and donuts. Thank you, Albatross. And Xerax gave us 5. I hope I didn't skip any, but it doesn't look like I did. And says, why is there such a focus on falling in love? This Disney level of mating works in less than 75% of relationships, considering the divorce rate was climbing to near 60% nearly 20 years back. Infatuation is like leading with your wallet. It's the worst thing to use to build a foundation. No expression of values, no establishing of a hook that one wants to attach themselves to. It's the emotional chemical reactions absent the conscious mind being involved. This is why people fall out of love. No coaching on exhibiting beliefs through actions or aligning beliefs with actions is done, and people are surprised that there's less mating today. See my OMG Pikachu face. Yeah, I know he said that, and I agree. I mean, I think that, like I said, these are like blue pill people commenting on this stuff, so they still have that sort of like, you know, Hollywood butterflies love thing going on. And the truth is that if you're really working, and she didn't admit this, but she said it in so many words by saying, well, you know, well, that guy even said it. He said that in most relationships, when they start off, one person is more invested than the other, and it's usually the men in relationships. Okay. And that's because it is, you know, something that like you don't just have it. It's not like a fairy tale. It's something that you work on. Sometimes, very rarely, you will get that, a spark or whatever, but you can fall out of that just as quickly. That's why we call it infatuation. So like, yeah, I agree with you, but I mean, I think these people are still living in this kind of fairy tale mindset about relationships. So, and the idea of it is very attractive. So it's hard for people to let that go. But it's just it is mostly bullshit. All right. I don't know if you want to say anything to that, because I got two more super chows, but go ahead.
Okay, so are we still on that woman who's saying like she was dating an uggo, which means she was probably dating or she was with some average attractive man?
He gave like an ugly guy a chance, which basically means she fucked a guy that is beneath her. But yeah.
Yeah, because she was probably hard up. I don't
or
know,
maybe
like,
maybe he wasn't ugly at the time, but then after that, you know, she sort of lost interest, or maybe he ghosted her, and so she decided he was unattractive. Sour grapes, you know. So it could have been anything.
Okay, so officially, if a woman has a ginger cat, then she is a minger. Put it on the X. All black and white cats are fine. Tabby cats are fine. Calico cats are fine. Siamese cats are fine. Entirely black cats are fine, but no gingers.
I think if I see too many cats, I don't know what the number is, but if I see over a certain number, I think that should be a red flag.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I think there's a certain, I don't know how many, but I think more than say 3, then yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very judicious, very, very diplomatic, Brian, because I have 3 cats and a dog.
I wasn't thinking about, I mean, Jonathan was the cat person, really, right? But
yeah, he's basically the one that wanted all of them, except for the ginger. The ginger was just dropped off one day. He's like, "Is this your cat?" And we're like, "No, well, it's your cat now." Fling.
Yeah.
And then run. Yeah, well, but the ginger's nice. The dog likes the ginger.
Betty Adams gave us a super chow for $10 and says, there is a very old joke that, on the principle of all funny jokes having a grain of truth, is telling to the topic of average women not finding average men attractive, but pair bonding with them anyway. The town doctor pulled Mrs. Smith aside one day and said, "Ma'am, I don't like the look of your husband." Miss Smith sighed and nodded. "Neither do I, but he is so good with the children." That's a joke? That's just kind of sad. Okay. But thank you, Betty. And then we got one from Anon, another super chow for $10. And Anon says, the way I see it, there are only 2 options and neither work in modern day. Women have relationships with who they are attracted to, or they don't. Women don't want the second option. Modern men don't want the second option on an actual attraction and moral reasoning. It takes a lot of acting from the women for average man to be fine with having and raising kids with a woman who finds him repulsive. Women have no reason to act right now. I think this has always been the case, and only financial desperation will a woman pretend enough for the average man. Well, I think that maybe what would help is if they got a reality check about where they stand in society, because I think the primary issue is women think they're worth more than they are, and I think that and this is for their own sake that they have to realize this, because the reality of it is going to hurt. The longer they invest in that like delusion about their worth, the more painful it'll be when reality hits, and it will. Especially as they get older. Like that's just, it's only going to get worse for them as they get older.
Albatross gave us $5. I don't know if you said that, and he did
I read
that
that
to
one, yeah.
Yeah, he did that to stick it to chorizo. So thank you, Albatross. Okay. I do have a thank you to give to David for $25. supporting the show. It is feedthebadger.com/support. Like a whole raft of you went into the super chows, which is fine. I like the super chows too, but we do have to finish off the fundraiser. And we are now at I think 1,550. So let's move the needle, guys. Feedthebadger.com/support. Go there and help out. Very much appreciated if you do. $5, $10. I'll take it all. Let's just move it towards, the finish line. Feedthebadger.com/support.
Yep.
What I wanted to say to that is I think it's okay because he's right. Women want to see excellence in men. And one of the forms of excellence that human beings seem to encourage is cooperation, right? Now, I mean, you can see it in athletics because they're cooperative endeavors that are also very competitive. So there's excellence, but also a high degree of cooperation, usually, unless you're talking about very solo sports. But still, there's usually a team involved. Like people go to the track meets in a team, and anyway. So, but there is no place for men to demonstrate that. But when it's perceived and that is something masculine that women can't also access, then I feel like a lot of the resentment is taken out of it. Because if women can't do it and only men can provide it, then it's not a situation where a woman is necessarily being very mercenary about it, because she can only get it from men, right? So it can only be provided by a man. Does that make sense? Like it becomes a part of himself in a way. And that's taken out. That it doesn't happen in our society because women are supposed to have access to everything.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
I feel like there's a lot less resentment if men have some place to demonstrate excellence that, women are excluded from. They get to see it and they get to enjoy the products of it, but it doesn't feel like it's so mercenary on the part of women. Like if women can make their own money, then getting a man who makes money is just like, it's a mercenary act. It's just the desire for more money rather than a desire for a man. You see what I'm seeing? It's sort of a difference.
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Let's play more of this.
In my research, there's this quote where a guy says, "A woman would rather see me die on the white horse than fall off of it." And so there's this sense that I have to be perfect. I have to be the masculine and the feminine, but I don't have the skills to do that. And women say that they want these guys to be emotional, but as soon as they show emotionality, it can freak those women out. So one guy that I spoke to for this said, I went on a few dates with this woman. At some point, I told her that my mom had had a suicide attempt. And the next day she texted me and said, "I'm sorry, I can't see you. I cannot process your emotional trauma for you."
No, I guess that's the emotional labor that women are so famed for.
So his mother attempted suicide. He wanted to share that, and she was turned off. Like that was too much emotional labor for her. Okay. So they really don't like this whole thing about this is why like the whole toxic masculinity conversation that feminists try to put forward is all bullshit, because women don't want that. And I think that feminists know it's bullshit, and they push it because it drives men and women further apart. And so men are better off finding different networks to help them other than their partners. And also women need to learn to listen to men who are in pain, because I think that they will if they train themselves to, like I almost lost JoJo when I went to Canada last, and I had not cried in years, and I cried because I thought he was gone. And Lindsay was, she could have been disgusted with that, but she wasn't. She understood. She was actually taking it better than me. It was weird because she's more attached to him, I think. But she was just more confident he was going to come back. I thought JoJo was gone. Like that was like, I was freaking out. We were in another country. I didn't know if we were going to get back. I couldn't find him. It was like a big, open area with lots of woods and shit. And there's coyotes. So yeah, I broke down. But
coyotes are probably not big enough to really affect him, but there are wolves and bears
there's wolves,
in that
there's
area.
mountain lions. There, I don't know.
Yeah, luckily he just shot
He's
up the
domesticated. He just showed up at somebody's backyard.
he
But
shot up the hill and just ended up in somebody's like glassed in porch or somehow, and apparently according to the owner of the house that he ended up at, he was looking at trying to figure out how to go back down the hill, but apparently it was a little bit flummoxed because it was quite a steep hill. But yeah, it was yeah, I noticed you were quite verklempt about it. And
yeah, and well, you know, like I said, I mean, like a guy that like whatever it is, like his
that's your
mother.
dog, man.
Yeah, I know, but like imagine if it was like my mom or my dad. I know my
Yeah.
dad who's like wheelchair bound, and he lives in a, you know, he's in a home right now in Chicago. He had an accident recently. My mom told me that he fell, and I thought, oh shit, like this is it, because he's like in his like late 70s. He's okay, he's recovering, but it's still bad. Like I know that any day now, or like I don't know, it could
Mhm.
happen. You know, I could get the call about my father, and you know, I should be able to talk to my wife about that.
Yeah.
So like this is like
Well, it's
unbelievably
all part and
cool.
parcel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all part and parcel. I think that the same social pressures put on women that leads them into these like having these absolutely ridiculous expectations also leads them to not really seeing their male partners as human beings. And it's really unfortunate because that's going to be their most intimate relationship, most likely throughout their entire life. And women are not availing themselves of the majority of the emotional benefit of it and the satisfaction of it. And instead, they're going after bullshit and material goods. It's really funny because I'm like, I feel like I'm sitting here enjoying something the average woman will never experience. And I'm watching them picking through garbage and then showing each other bits of tinsel and saying, "Oh, it's so beautiful." I'm like, is it really though? Is
Mhm.
your life really that great? Anyway, it's
Anyway,
it's just interesting to watch.
yeah, no, for sure.
And so guys are getting a lot of mixed messages. We want you to be feminine. We want you to support us. But when you do, it freaks us out. And so we don't want that. And digging into the research, and I want to look into this more, I think it's that a lot of women want emotional support. They want you to support them in their emotional journeys, but they're not as ready to have you open up in your emotional journey.
Well, that's a really nice way to put it, but yeah, I think that's true.
And
I
then
think
at the
when
same
women
time,
say they want you to be emotional, they want you to support them emotionally and their emotional
yeah,
state and their
yeah.
emotional needs. They don't want to hear about yours, because that's
And
labor,
then
remember?
yeah, it's emotional labor. And then
Mhm.
the other thing that occurs to me is that I keep hearing from women that men they have to be more spiritually they have to attain some sort of woo quality now because they can't just expect to get everything because they make more money than women. Now women are making their own money and men haven't stepped up to the plate to become more emotionally aware and spiritually advanced. And I'm like listening to this and I'm like, who hasn't who like and also I remember I got an email from some dude who said she wrote a book about how women are spiritually more advanced than men because they've challenged their gender role. They've become more spiritually and emotionally advanced, and men need to catch up. And I just sent him a message because he wanted to, I guess, to have an interview. And I'm like, wow, this is a real mismatch, my friend. But I sent him back and I said, no, they're not. How do
How long ago was
you,
that?
it was like months ago.
So
How
they're not
do
going to come
you,
on then?
I doubt it. Do you really want them to? Like,
I would.
I
I'd like to hear that person lay out their case. I want more antagonistic interviews. Yeah.
okay okay, then I won't do that next time. All right. I'll be like,
Oh,
sure,
you should tell them we disagree, but we can
sure,
talk about it. Yeah.
sure, yes, Lighter, come on our show and we'll have a
Yeah.
chat. Like, but anyway, so this individual says women are more spiritually enlightened than men. And then you have this. How are they more spiritually enlightened if they're disgusted by the emotional needs of others, mostly men. Like, how does that work? Because when I think about someone who's spiritually enlightened, I don't see in my head a woman who gets an ick because a man cries because his mom died. That's not what I'm seeing. That's not at all. Like, that's not what that isn't what comes to mind when I think about spiritual enlightenment. Okay.
All right, let's keep going.
Can I put forward a thesis and I want you to respond to it because I haven't done the research. In marketing, we call it consumer dissonance, what people say they want and then what they actually buy. And what women say they want is an emotionally in touch man. And what they want is a masculine man. And that they will articulate what they want in a man. It includes being more emotionally available. And then they want to have sex with a traditional masculine man. And what I hear from a lot of, and this is anecdotal.
Well, yeah, women say what women say they want and what they actually go for are different.
Evidence in pulse marketing, and you tell me what the data says. But there's just so many single women in my age group, and it feels like there's literally no men in my age group. As bad as it is for people in their 20s and 30s, try being a woman in your 50s trying to date, right? And they tell me the same thing. These are liberal, progressive, educated women. They say, by the way, I like a manly man.
Yeah.
And they say it under their breath.
They all do.
So there's what supposedly is stated around, I need more emotional availability, someone who's touch with their feelings.
This is
But
unbelievable.
what the research shows is they want a guy with facial hair who's still, women are still very attracted to traditional masculine attributes.
Yeah.
Okay, can I get in here?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is
I just
astounding.
wanted to finish the sentence.
Yeah, and I think he did. This is astounding because women have asked men to be something else. Right? They've asked that. And now they're rejecting men who've done it. It reminds me of an article way back when. This was even before Honey Badger Radio. It was during the before times, before Gamergate, and like the naughties, I guess. It was on, there was a woman called Clarissa Thorne, and she had this astounding article about how this contradicting, and she's a feminist, about how she espoused men to be more feminist, more feminine, get in touch in their emotions, but she finds them deeply unattractive sexually. And I'm like, that's freaking astounding. Like, not just that you're asking men to be less attractive, less physically attractive, and then you're going to reject them because of it, but you're expecting men to adhere to your ideology, and you're not willing to do the work of supporting that ideology by learning to find the men who are part of it attractive, right? And then if you multiply this by infinity, like all the feminisms, all the feminists, they've just absolutely screwed the boys who are being raised feminist by doing this. And then women refuse to do the work. They don't even acknowledge that they need to do the work to find the men that they said they want attractive. But honestly, at this point in time, I think women should be expected to do so. Right? If you wanted feminist men, you should find them attractive. If that's what you say you want, do the work to find them attractive, or shut up and accept patriarchy back into your life. Like, that's the thing. And this is what I tell feminists, and they have no answer for it. So what you're saying is that throughout all of human history, women have managed to reproduce with men, except in this society where women got their rights. In this society, we're going to all die out. And because you refuse to find the men who gave you your rights attractive, and and they would just call me a pick. They call me every name in the damn book. But it comes down to that. They're going to let this society die out because they refuse to do the work to find the men that give them their rights attractive. There you go. Experiment concluded.
So the thing about this that I think is interesting, and we know this is true anyway, we've heard this many times, But it's interesting that this woman, he's according to this guy's anecdote about the women he's worked with, plural, who have said they're really progressive and all of this, but then under their breath, they're like, I just want a manly man. What's interesting about this is that this is another example of how everything is just mate suppression that is being pushed by women. Like it's women doing this to other women and men are just the ball, to quote Anita Sarkeesian, or like take a note out of that. Because she's saying, well, I have to say this, that I want like sensitive, emotional, feminist men. I have to say that because I don't want to upset the women around me because they might be listening and we're all supposed to be on the same page here. And I'm afraid of exclusion or isolation or alienation by the sisterhood. This has nothing to do with the men, but secretly, I actually don't want that. And it's funny because this is the tool that's used. It's women's agreeableness. It's women's fear of being excluded, fear of being alienated by other women and basically by their community. And it's playing out. And they're in their 50s and they're still lying. And that's all. This whole thing is a lie. Like they're just lying about everything. And everyone is lying about it together. And the men, well, they've been like terrified into not saying anything, most of them. And the ones that do, well, guess what? Those are the misogynists that other men have to avoid. And so you get people like this talking in circles around the lie they know that's there. They're all acknowledging it, that we're all being lied to about what women want. But we're not going to confront that. We're just going to tell men to step up again. We got to find another way to make men step up. You know,
and also, also the misogynists blame women. You know what? Fuck it. Then I'm a misogynist because I blame women, and I'm going to continue to blame women until we are as comfortable blaming women as we are blaming men. The end. But it's just like that whole sequence where he's talking about this situation that men have no control over and women have 100% control over. Well, maybe like, 95% control over and the apps have 5%. Right? And he's talking about that situation. He comes out and the misogynists blame women.
Yeah. Like the ultimately, like the biggest lie of feminism is that it ignores female nature. Ultimately, it ignores female nature and it pretends like it doesn't exist. And this is why, like, ever since I've been doing this and we talk about like what is expected of men and what men need to be and how men need to change and all that, I always say, well, what do women want from that? Is that what women want from those men? Because feminism is saying that this is what men have to do. And they never, ever address it. Never. They never say, what do women want? Because if they answer that question, then their ideology completely falls apart because it doesn't, it actually doesn't care what women want. It has a narrative and women won't say it either because they're afraid. They're afraid to speak out against the establishment narrative. It's like feminism has told them the mythology of the world they live in. And they said, you can't question this mythology. And women are all like, I guess that's the mythology. And so I'm going to go along with it. And they'll say, what do I have to say to stay in good graces? Oh, I'm going to, talk about girl boss. I'm going to talk about what I want from a man. I'm going to talk about the new, princess movie and why I like Wicked and all that. And I'm all for this. And they're only doing it to stay like in the good graces because they tend to be agreeable. But in their heart of hearts, they're like, I don't like any of this. And I don't want to be a part of this, but I'm paralyzed because I can't go against it because I don't think any of these other women would agree with me. I'd get cast out. And they do. They get called pick-me's. They get attacked. They get, like, Sydney Sweeney was called a Nazi because she did a commercial for jeans. But that's how bad it is. And what women have to do is they have to be like, well, I'm okay with whatever. Call me a Nazi if you want to. Or call me whatever. I don't care. And that's just that's a big ask, but that's what has to happen.
Yep. And it's what's hilarious about this is a complete loss of women's autonomy. Right now, right here, women are forced to do these things and they lose their autonomy, not just in terms of having to like the same things as the sisterhood, having to describe their desires in the way that the sisterhood approves of, like this man just talked about. Women have to be ashamed of the fact that they like masculine men because the sisterhood tells them that's wrong. So it's a complete loss of autonomy, just like throughout all of human history. Supposedly women have lost their autonomy, right? They had no autonomy. Well, you also don't have any autonomy now, ladies. And it gets, and then you talk about all the intersectionality. I recently watched Sex in the City because it was a Richard Gere request, and the reboot. The reboot had Marissa, I think it was Marissa. But anyway, it was one of the female characters, and she was walking on eggshells around this black lawyer woman. And I'm like looking at this, and it's all this affectation of piety and submission to an ideology that doesn't lead to having children. And yet it is the same. Like, you're looking at this woman, and she is just as controlled as women were in Puritan England, or Puritan New England, right? Because she's controlled by people's opinions. She has to walk around on eggshells. She has to express piety and submission to the moral betters. I'm like, how is this different than the past? When you also had to do this, ladies, except in the past, your loss of autonomy actually facilitated the production of children and families and communities. Now it facilitates the production of nothing, right? You're still doing the same thing. It's women consuming other women's autonomy, forcing them all to just act in the same way. And you're exactly right. This guy's exactly right. This man, when he describes this, women have to lie about their desires. They have to be pious towards their moral betters. They have to say the things that are socially acceptable. They have to engage in the actions that won't get them ostracized. How is this different than any other point in history for women? Except this version of reducing and controlling women's autonomy is not functional. Like, I mean, maybe it would be better if women had actually been liberated, but they're not. They've once again set up a new form of controlling each other, a new controlling sisterhood to destroy each other's autonomy.
Yeah.
Like,
they're not liberated. I mean, I don't think they ever needed to be liberated, but
no, women probably didn't need to be liberated, but they certainly weren't. You aren't liberated. You're just in a new form of control. And I know this because I go into female spaces. Like, I went in Whole Math Server, and there was like a space devoted specifically to women. And the instant I go in, I'm like, oh God, I know I'm in a woman's space because I feel like I feel in danger every second I'm in here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I do.
You know, you're in a female controlled space when you feel the pit of your stomach starts to contract into, and it turns into like this hard knot of anxiety. And you're like, yep, women control this space. Better start tiptoeing. And this is the thing. It's women controlling women and blaming it on men. And yet, and what we've had are 3 generations of supposedly liberation, and nobody's liberated except for I don't know, I guess the women on this channel, because I'm going to say what I want. And as far as I'm concerned, if a woman wants me to stop me from saying what I want to say, out of my life, you're gone. And I'm not going to sweat it. All right,
let's keep going. We got a couple more time codes left for this.
I mean, I think we're just in such a hard moment because you have women who are saying, I don't want to date a guy who earns less than me. And you might think, okay, well, the data hasn't caught up with the dating. If more women are in higher education and more women are earning more, then maybe you're going to be the one who earns more in your relationship. But what they feel like is projecting out, I'm going to end up doing most of the housework, most of the childcare. I might as well get a guy that can contribute financially. So they don't want to change their expectations around that. And so I think we truly are in a moment where women are being asked to do more masculine things and men are being asked to do more feminine things. And I think a lot of that is progress, but it also seems to be creating a lot of confusion in the dating world.
Well, honestly,
are women being asked to do masculine things, or are they just told that they can and that they shouldn't to rely on a man?
Well, but the thing is that what is a masculine thing? A masculine would be, if women
Like a
were
job?
genuinely doing masculine things, they would see their jobs as stepping stones to helping provide for a husband and family. Like that, if women were genuinely doing masculine things, they would see their jobs as something that makes them more attractive romantic prospects because they can improve the financial system, the financial status of the whatever household they build with a man. That would be an actual masculine mindset. That's not what this is.
Mhm.
And the other thing is that you say that men are being asked to be more feminine. I think men are just being asked to be more uncomfortable. Because the further back you go, like if you watch movies, I'm thinking specifically, there was this movie about a teacher who took over a special needs, or like not a special needs, but a vocational sort of college, a class in a vocational college. I'm going to forget his name again. But he was a white teacher, and he went into an intercity school that was more like a vocational kind of high school, and he was trying to help disadvantaged youth. And at one point, his wife just became insanely jealous for some reason, and he sat her down, and instead of indulging her jealousy, he's like, "What? How do you think this makes me feel? How do you think this impacts my ability to work? Look at what you're doing by engaging in these behaviors that are disruptive." And she actually shut up and thought about it and stopped doing it. Because she's like calling people or spreading rumors and doing all kinds of things to be just creating social chaos. And I'm like, that was back in the 40s. I think that was made 40s or 50s. And it was recognizing a man and the effects of his wife's actions on her husband. And the husband actually told her. And then she took action to change her behavior as a result of how her previous toxic behavior was affecting her husband emotionally. And I'm like, holy crap, we've lost that. So they're piping up and saying men are more feminine now. No, they aren't. They were more feminine after, like, or at least I don't want to say they were more feminine. They were more capable of expressing their emotions and expecting those emotions to change the behavior of the women in their lives 3 generations ago. I mean, maybe that was just presenting an ideal in movies or fiction, but at least it was an ideal. Like,
Yeah.
at least it was something that was conceived of. I can't even name a freaking movie that's done that recently. Like,
All right.
right.
Now they're going to talk about men's spaces.
Yeah, it's sort of, I was just thinking, I coach a lot of young men, and occasionally women ask me for dating advice, and you coach, it sounds like a lot of both. And first thing I say to men is I ask them, like, would you want to have sex with you? All right. Are you in shape? What do you look like naked? Do you have a plan? You don't have to be rich now, but do you have a plan? Right? Have you found means of being confident? Can you demonstrate kindness and excellence across anything? And the only advice I give
They're
women
still
is the second
focusing on
coffee.
men.
And that is, maybe it wasn't great. I mean, if you don't like the guy and you're just like turned off, fine. But if it was just okay, maybe give it a second coffee.
I have a chapter in my book called Make the Second Date the Default.
Yeah.
And it's really because I feel like I won the lottery with my husband, but he is somebody that takes longer to open up, and he's the slow burn. We met in college. We met again 7 years later. Then we were friends for a year. And I feel like he's this incredible partner, husband, father. But I don't know that if we'd met just randomly on the first date that I would have gone on a second date. And so I think people really do need to train themselves to look for these slow burns.
Logan,
Slow compared to what? I mean,
Yeah.
like, again, like I think that it's well intentioned, but the problem is
It's not
that
enough.
women are not likely to. Well, here's another video I have that I'll share with you real quick that gives us a little bit of an idea. Modern woman.
The secret to a long-term happy relationship, he has to be afraid of you. He has to be afraid of you. Absolutely, 110%. He has to be afraid of you. Not that you're gonna hurt him, but that you might just pop off and lose it. You might leave. You might leave him just where he is, by himself.
I think it's this projection.
You might take your care away. You might stop doing things for him. He's got to be afraid that at any moment he drops the ball, you're gone.
Yuck. Like usually I don't, I try not to do this, but I feel like the bottom of the barrel just spoke.
But she
But
feels, but the thing is, she might be the bottom of the barrel, but she doesn't think she is. Like,
also,
this
no,
is
no,
like,
no. This is not this. I guarantee that this woman isn't actually saying a strategy. She's telling men the strategy to take with her, or the strategy that she expects to find a man attractive. Like, this is the thing. When women say stuff like this, often what they're saying is, this is what I find attractive in a man. And somehow I think if I'm a woman and I embody this, I will be attractive to a man. They have this mistake. It's the same thing with the women who say, well, I have this portfolio of stocks, and I have this job and all that, and that I should be, that should make me attractive to a man. They mistake what they find attractive in a man for what makes them attractive to men. And I think that's what's happening here. This is what this woman, because the thing is, and the other thing is that who the hell is she dating that she has to have this weird Cold War with them? Right? Like, who is she dating? Most guys they'll stick around if you're just nice to them. Like, you don't have to play mind games.
the
In fact, they
bar
probably
is
prefer you
underground.
not.
The bar is in hell.
Yeah, just be nice. Just be nice to them, and that's it. You don't have to be like, oh, I gotta have the psychological warfare, and gotta wake him up at 3 in the morning and blast the Iron Maiden at him. Just keep him off base. Gotta occasionally throw a muskrat in his face and kick him in the shins and then run off laughing. Like all this insanity. It's like, who are you trying to date? Like, take it down a couple notches more to where your level is, and you just be nice to him and you're fine. Like, it's not that difficult.
Nope. All right, let's keep going.
Scott said something there about what he thinks women want, which is these sort of traditional masculine features. Is this what you see in the data?
What's hard is I think Scott's right about what people say they want versus stated versus revealed preferences. So according to the research that I did, women are saying the number one thing that they're looking for is kindness and compassion. That's also what men are saying that they're looking for. So in many ways, this is great. People are looking for the same things, but I just feel like there's these huge disconnects now where people don't feel like they can get what they want.
Men are saying they want kindness and compassion.
I made them say, what are all the things that you care about? And then what is the number one thing that you care about? And kindness and compassion was first for both of them.
The stuff
Why does that surprise anyone? Like the host of the show was like, men said that? Well, yeah. Like, if you are looking for someone to be the mother to your children, you want them to be kind and compassionate to you and to your potential children.
I'm not surprised. I have a doubt about the women. I think they responded according to what they thought people wanted them to say.
What they want, what people think they should say.
Yeah.
Like, what should I say to this question? Yeah.
Yeah, what should I say to this question? All right.
I've seen, the stuff I've read is that for women, and I've talked to men about this, number one is they have to signal resources. And we don't like to say it out loud. And by the way, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a Range Rover and a Panerai now, but you have a plan, right? You have your shit together. You go home at midnight when everyone's partying because you have to be up for work. You work out, which shows a level of discipline and that you can commit to something. You're in school. You've got a good job. This person is going to have resources. And I don't think that's changed a whole lot. I think a man's ability to signal future resources has gone down. I'm not sure it's become any less of a criteria. Number two is intellect.
Well, that's really unfortunate that our society endeavored to reduce men's ability to generate resources relative to women. Wow, that
I mean, he
really
doesn't seem to be understanding that, like, yeah, men want that too, but their opportunities are a lot more scarce.
Fewer than the women.
For that. Yeah, compared to women. And the problem is that elevating women in education, which is artificial in a lot of ways, because they're just getting a lot of preferential treatment. And so if a woman gets preferential treatment while not being told she's getting preferential treatment, and she gets a degree in something, she automatically believes that she's entitled to something more than what her degree is worth, even if she never uses it. Even if she ends up working as a Starbucks assistant manager, she has that bachelor's in fucking, science that she's not using, but she's worth that. And that means the man is worth more than that. So it's not just that there's less opportunities, that men are being disadvantaged educationally, employment wise. Women get preferential treatment there. We have lots of programs to give women the upper hand. We got to get more women in STEM. We got to get more women in business. We need more female CEOs. We need more females in positions of power in the political space. And that's like a mantra that's been going on everywhere. So there's a lot of people that try to do that. There are unions that actively try to do that as well. We need 50-50 representation in this thing or that thing. So men are having a harder time getting in because there's nothing for them, and there's no programs that exist for men. So what do? You get a lopsided outcome that's been like artificially altered. And then those women, because they don't know that, they're going into the world thinking, well, hell, I was able to get this degree, so I got to find a man that can do better than that. So It's like you create the illusion of equality, but you don't actually address women's preferences because you never ask women what their preferences are, or not like in a real way, Well,
yeah, because this entire system. Like Chorizo was in the special, or no, I guess he wasn't in the special chat. He migrated over the horizontal chat. Well, he was saying, well, women are free, and I'm like, no, they're not. They're not free. They're not free in this society. They're still as controlled as they ever were.
Yeah.
Except now they have to deny what they actually want and not get it. Like, all for this experiment, which really, if you think about it, fattened certain people's bottom lines. Like it's fattened a lot of bureaucrats in the government. It's fattened up a lot of corporate stooges. But it's it's fattened up a lot of feminist board members of NGOs. But for women, it's just led to misery because they're just as controlled as ever, except now they're less likely to enjoy their lives. Yay!
Yep.
Okay.
And it's very instinctual because if you make good decisions for the tribe, your kids are more likely to survive.
Mhm.
Someone who's smart is more likely to take care of your offspring than someone who's stupid. What's interesting, and I love this, is the fastest way to communicate intellect is humor.
Mhm.
And I joke, and this is bad, but I say, this is my impression of a woman. I'm laughing, I'm naked. And that is, I've always thought if a guy can make a woman laugh,
Yeah.
she will date him. And then the third thing, and this is where guys screw up. This is what I tell a guy's secret weapon is. It's kindness. Women want to see that you are a good person. You treat service staff well. You're good to your parents. You have manners. You treat people well.
Women do, huh? That's an awfully broad brush.
A kind person.
But I guess it's
If and
okay
when-
because you're being flattering.
So I don't see like where do these men screw up, because like I can guarantee you that the kind of men that women go for, that top percent, they're probably like, they could be assholes and women would forgive it because they're high status enough that it's okay.
Yeah. And in fact, that might be a draw considering that the sociopathic personality style is more attractive to women.
Yeah, I think this is
So what-
paradoxical advice.
Yeah, what that woman was saying by saying that she, her current partner was a slow burn. Well, this is the thing. Like this is probably why I would agree with the second coffee date. In fact, more. If you hit it off really well on a first date with someone, odds are the man is a sociopath. I mean, or he could be very friendly and outgoing and be nice, but that's a unicorn, friend. Like most people take a while to really warm up, right? It takes a while for them to. They don't hit all of the notes perfectly. Even if he's charming, he might not do that. Like
Mhm.
if you have a first date and you think it's really good, it might be the sociopathic personality style talking. Is just what I'm saying if you're a woman, because that is what you're attracted to. Apparently women are attracted to that. And that person, maybe have a few more dates with him. If he doesn't take frustration well, he's probably a sociopath. If by the 5th date he's warmed up and is charming, he probably isn't a sociopath. Just saying. Like if it takes a guy a while to warm up to you or to get rid of the jitters or the nervousness, that's a sign he isn't a sociopath. It also and here's the other thing. Once sociopaths attract you, they don't need to be fun anymore or charming anymore, right? They'll just use their other tricks in their book to keep you. Okay. So if you like this woman is describing like the burn, like the slow burn, what that is you're with a normal human being, and
Yeah.
normal human beings take time.
That's
to
why I
warm
said
up.
slow compared to what? Yeah.
Yeah. Compared to what? Like like I said, it's probably a bad sign if you have a good first date. Just give it time. Give him time to reveal, and if he's a sociopath, he's going to get frustrated. He's not getting what he wants out of you immediately. If he's a decent guy, awkward first date, awkward second date, awkward third date, fourth date's starting to get more fun. He's starting to warm up to you. You're starting to click. You're starting to know what to talk about and hold a conversation. You have to wait. Okay. And that's how you that's how you do the psycho filter. Because the first date, the really good first date guy's probably going to be a psycho, but by the third date, he's going to be pissed he hasn't fucked you. This is but the problem is, there are women out there, they don't care because they are also psychos, or they just want to have fun for whatever reason, whatever god awful reason. They want to acquire their share of STDs, every other woman has one. Why don't I? That kind of thing. So they will go after the sociopaths. And as we saw on the T app, they will specifically look for a man with 30 red flags and then ask the women who've had sex with him, does he fuck good? Like,
do he
fuck good?
Do he though? All right, we got one more time code and it'll be the end. So
they have formed this council of peers. So every month that they get together, every guy sits down with Post-it notes and says the 2 issues that are most pressing for him. So first of all, I think that that's a great way of doing it because it's actually that time to say, what am I struggling with? I think many people in their lives, maybe especially men, don't sit there and say, what's top of mind for me? So guys get the quiet time to do that. Then they go around in a circle, and whoever has the most pressing issue, they get to take their time. And some men might say, these are top of mind for me, but it's not a priority. I'll give the time to someone else. And each month they talk about what's going on for them. They hold each other accountable. So month 3, they might say, hey, David, you've been talking about that for the last 3 months. Are you going to actually do anything about it? And I love that these men have a masculine space to actually go through what's going on for them, because maybe they have wives and girlfriends they can go to. Maybe they don't. But I think it's a different type of advice that you get from a council of trusted peers. And I really do think that men's groups could change a lot of these issues, because I can sit here and say everybody should be in therapy. Guess what? Therapy is really expensive, and many insurance companies will not provide it, or there's a huge waiting list. And so if we just sit around.
Also, therapy isn't really like, I would caution men against going to therapy, but unless you have like specifically with like a pro male therapist or somebody who understands. What were we gonna say?
Yeah, there might be a sound issue on your side. When you first start talking, you're quite low, and then you guys in the chat, please tell me if you're also experiencing that. If it's just me, it doesn't matter. But what I'm finding is that when Brian first starts talking, he's quite low, and then finally it kicks in and you can hear him. Also,
has it always been that way? Like,
yeah,
in this
at least
show?
this show, but not like this is the first show I've noticed. Oh, okay. All right. So I got some thank yous. I want to give a big thank you to Temp Anon for $5. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much appreciated. And I want to thank Great Indoors for 250. Thank you, Great Indoors. Do we have any sounds? Thank you.
I don't
Come
have
again.
anything yet. I'm still like setting my computer up.
All right.
Soon.
Okay, so I think we're at 1,275. So moving there, getting to the deadline, getting to the goal. Yes, thank you. Sometimes I forget my words.
Sorry.
Getting to the goal. So thank you very much for Great Indoors. Thank you to Tempanon and also to David. Originally did $25. And if you want to help out, please go to feedthebadger.com/support. We have 1 day left and about 1,200 to go. So still a ways to go. Every bit helps. $5, $10, very much appreciated. Okay.
All right. So this is the last time code. Okay. They're talking about men's spaces. And maybe they're like, well, maybe this is what we need. Wild.
For all these guys to go to therapy, that's not going to happen. But men's groups are a way that men can lead each other. They can provide this tribe of peers. And I have just seen so many changes in this group. So David told me his story where he had a lot of anger about his mom's debilitating illness. And he wasn't really experiencing it. And it was coming out as anger at his mom, but he wasn't conscious of that. But by getting the anger out in a safe place with men, the only place where he felt like he could truly be angry, he was able to get over it and to actually treat his mom with a lot more empathy. Or my husband has gone to the group and talked about ego stuff at work or how hard the transition to becoming a parent has been. And I feel like the men in this group have grown so much over the 12 months that it's been happening that I just paid for my brother-in-law to be in a men's group. And I want there to be tons of men's groups because I really feel like this isn't an issue that a therapist or a mom or I can really solve. I think men need to be solving this problem within themselves.
What you said is really powerful because
Okay.
if you walk down the hallway at Stern, there's Golden Seeds, women in venture capital, Black Women's Consulting Club. There are women's support groups. There's nothing for men. And these groups are really wonderful. Man Talks is one that I've been looking at where they've said, let's get together and just be supportive of each other.
I got one. XY crew.
Oh boy, that's
Well, we have a community.
Yes, we do. But I think that they're not going to, we're the misogynists, Brian, because the thing is that I try to focus on men in any way helping men set appropriate boundaries with women. Like, for example, when I was hearing her example of the mother, is there anything that the mother's doing to deserve being seen as her son's anger, right? And maybe there's a situation where he should start saying no, because even though she's his mother and she may have an illness, he also has the right to say no, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and maybe there's a reason why that anger is happening in terms of his relationship with her, not just because she's ill and whatever else, you know. So, and I don't think that's acceptable. I don't think the groups that we do, like I'm sure Paul does stuff like that too, the XY crew, you know, and the stuff that we do in Honey Badger Radio, and maybe even the stuff that somebody like Justin Trottier does, because that is also about setting boundaries with women, not accepting abuse, not accepting coercion, and not accepting sexual aggression from women, because Justin Trottier Cafe, these are the things that he talks about. And in supporting men who are victims of these things, he most likely, well, by definition, he's establishing that is inappropriate behavior for women to engage in when it comes to men. I don't know. Do these men's groups do that? Do they encourage men to set boundaries? Because that's probably one of the biggest things that needs to happen for this to turn around. Men need to set boundaries and start holding women accountable
For sure.
when they violate those boundaries. Right? And this is the funny thing. Like, most women don't even know that, like, about the sociopath thing, right? You know, don't expect really good first dates because you're just getting to know each other, and a normal human being is nervous with new people to a degree, and a man will be nervous because you're a woman, right? But that means he has a normal emotional makeup, right? That he's constrained by things like potential humiliation, disappointing a person, you know, not living up to a standard. Like, sociopaths come off really great because they don't give a fuck about you at the end of the day. They don't give a fuck about your opinion. They just want what they want from you, which is why, you know, on the 5th date, the normal guy is going to be a lot better. On the 5th date, the sociopath is going to start acting like abusive because you're not giving him what he wants. It's, you know, you should have done that in the 1st date. You know, and that is something I can genuinely say I did see. But this seems to escape the average woman, that they are literally selecting for bad men by expecting a perfect, like, being swept off their feet in the 1st date. There's only one type of men is really good at that. And, well, 2 types. One are the sociopaths. They're naturally really good at that. And 2 are the men who have done a lot of work on game and are able to emulate what the sociopaths do. We could have just let the pickup artists do that, right? Just teach men to emulate what the sociopaths do. So you end up having a normal man who can create a great first impression to women. We could have done that, but what the hell happened to all those pickup artists? Right?
Well, they became they either got married and like completely left the internet, or they became part of the manosphere red pill that these
Or they
people
got
hate so much.
shamed into silence.
Yeah.
We had a perfect solution there, but nope, that's not. It wasn't acceptable because it was unflattering to women.
Mm-hmm.
But what are you flattering? Like, this guy's saying that women are saying, "Oh, I want a masculine man." What are you flattering here? Like, what is wrong with that? Why has feminism come in and made women so anxious and feeling such shame towards what they want? And how is this of benefit to women? Right? Like, well, who is that genuinely flattering when we can't just say, yes, sociopaths are attractive to women, so why don't we help normal men emulate what makes sociopaths attractive to women? Like, doesn't that sound like a good idea? But then we had all the feminist academia that, you know, the femosphere came around with its gigantic death laser pointed at the pickup artists, and they were no longer allowed to be around because they were grapey or something. All right.
Yeah.
Final time.
All right.
Did you want to do more?
No, that's it. We're done.
Oh, good. Okay. Well,
So,
yeah, I'll see if there's any more thank yous. I don't think we got any more super chows. Still have a ways to go, guys. Sorry, I'm struggling. I got 2 of those monitors. That's the word. Okay, so we're still at 1200. So if you want to help, please go to feedthebadger.com/support. If you want to say anything to anything that we've talked about, feedthebadger.com/just-the-tip. And I need to learn to breathe because I sound so scratchy and squeaky. So feedthebadger.com/support to support us, feedthebadger.com/just-the-tip to send us a message and a tip. And if you're interested, we are doing a meetup this September 13th in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. If you want more information, feedthebadger.com/events in the low bar. Get more information about that. And I will hand it back to you, Brian.
all right. Well, if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, to the bell for notifications. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. You'll find a link to this video in the description. Look at the comments. They're very heartening. A lot of people are rightfully criticizing them for being so out of touch. So that's nice to know. I think that a lot of people have moved past this point in the conversation. It's time for these people to catch up. So, and please leave us a comment on our video if you would be so kind, and also consider sharing, because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of Maintaining Frame, and we'll talk to you guys in the next one.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.